Hi, I'm Holly from BB Library and welcome to Artistic Adventures. Today the artist we're looking at is Henri Mattise, who is a painter. Today we're going to look at something he did besides painting. So I want to show you first of all, when he was a boy, he always wanted to be a painter. But in a lot of stories of artists, the parents wanted them to be doing something else. But he did end up going off to art school, and here's something that he did, one of his first paintings when he was 20. And if you look at it, he set up kind of a still life and painted exactly what he saw. So that's one of his first paintings. And let me show you his last work of art. Get that centered so you can see it. There it is. What do you notice? That is actually a picture of a snail. And so over the years, his style changed a lot. He found in the end that what he would do with these few pieces of paper, that he felt that he could tell as much of a story with that as he did when he was making the more traditional kind of works. And tell you just a little bit about him. There's a great book, a series of books in fact at the library that are called Lives of the Artists, Lives of the Writers, Lives of the Athletes and things. It's a series that's by Catherine Krull with illustrations by Catherine Hewitt, published by Harcourt Brace. This is one, Lives of the Artists, Masterpieces, Messes, and the best part about this series is what the neighbors thought. So if you're looking for facts about, I guess there's presidents and writers and all kinds of people, you're looking for some of those silly facts about the famous people, it's a great place to go. So in this one, there's a great article. In fact, I'll show you his picture in here. Give you a look when he was kind of at his height. There's a picture of Matisse, what he looked like. And but early critics, when they first started painting, he had changed his style. He no longer was painting in that very realistic style. In fact, here is one of his famous ones. This is actually a picture of his wife, and it's a woman with hat. And so his early critics took a look at that, and they didn't like it because, to begin with, all the colors weren't right. If you look at her face, he's used some green and purples and different things. It's not exactly what he saw. It was the way that he envisioned things in his own mind. So the critics didn't like this. In fact, this was one that they found scandalous and unrealistic and actually insulting to women. But an American named Leo saw it. He hated it. In fact, I got a quote. He says, "It is the nastiest smear of paint I have ever seen." But he ended up buying it. He and his sister ended up buying it. And it was a very, very good purchase because Matisse became by far the highest paid artist during the time that he lived. But a lot of things, they called him, in fact, his nickname was the King of the Wild Beasts. So he started wearing a coat with the animal, the sheepskin on the outside, which wasn't done in those days. And he was a very interesting man. He liked to keep his fingers limber for his painting, so he would every day would get up and play the violin for a couple hours to kind of keep his fingers in shape for his painting. When he had models, he was not a popular artist for models to pose for because, first of all, he would be all the time talking to himself, and he would be crying sometimes, or he'd be cursing sometimes. And his eyesight was so bad that in order to see what he was doing, he'd have to be right up with his knees, right up on them to be able to see. And if anybody tried to talk to him at all, even to say, "nice day," he'd be so upset and devastated that he couldn't concentrate anymore and the session would end. He was very tense a lot of times, and to relieve that, he took up rowing. In fact, he would go out and be rowing in the boat so much he got good that he actually won some medals for his rowing. And he was a very popular artist during his day. In fact, so I showed you Woman with Hat. That was one of his very popular works of art. And I'll show you a couple more. I've got a better picture of that here. This is Sadness of the King right there. That's another one. You can see it's a little different style, not at all realistic. That's something he couldn't have set up a still life and had painted. And another one that I think is very beautiful is this one right here. Let me see if I can get all in the picture. There we go. That's another picture of his wife. And it was part of a whole series that was called Harmony in Red. But we're not going to be looking today at that work that he did, his painting that way. We're going to be looking at painting that he did in a different way. And here's an example right here. And here is a series that he did. Make sure you can see, there we go. A series that he did that is a traditional painting, but it is cut out of paper. And this is called Icarus. And Icarus is the story of a young man who wanted to fly up into the sun, so he made wings out of feathers and wax. And when he got close to the sun, they melted and he fell back to earth. But just look at, he felt as more and older he got, he liked the idea of simplicity. That is a much more simple shape than what he was doing earlier. Here's another one right here on the cover of that. Just, it's another cut out of paper. And I'm going to show you one, and here is a photograph of Henri. And if you look around on the floor around him, what do you see? Lots of paper, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be cutting paper. So the book I have is by Jeanette Winter, both the art and the writing, and it's called Henri's Scissors. So we'll get that. Okay, so our book today is Henri's Scissors by Jeanette Winter. She did both the writing and the illustrations for it. And it opens with a quote from American artist Romari Bearden, who said, "Matisse got as close as one can get to heaven with a pair of scissors." So that's what we're going to be doing today, is some cutting with scissors. Henri's Scissors by Jeanette Winter, published by Beach Lane Books. In a small weaving town in France, a young boy named Henri Émile Benoit Matisse watched his mother paint china. He wanted to paint too. He drew pictures in the sand. He drew pictures in his school books. When Henri was a young man, he drew pictures in his law books and on contracts and deeds and wills. Like quite a few artists, what's happened is the family really wants to make sure that they can get a job, that they can make money. Well, his father insisted that he go and study law. Henri was sick in bed with appendicitis one winter. His mother gave him a box of paints, and he painted until he was well. He kept on painting, forgot about law, and left his small town to be an artist in Paris. Henri painted pictures day after day and year after year. Do you recognize this right here? That is one of those studies, Harmony in Red. And there's his wife. He was happy, and his paintings made people happy. In fact, here are some of his most famous paintings. Take a look. You can see kind of the size, too. They're huge. But when Matisse was an old man, he felt ill. So ill he couldn't paint. So ill he couldn't sit up. And so ill he could only lie in bed and sleep. His paintings floated by in his dreams. Matisse finally opened his eyes, and they were filled with sadness. Now he must remain in bed or use a wheelchair. Would he ever have the energy to paint again? When Matisse was strong enough to travel, he went to the seaside, and the sea air might help him get well. Before long, he sat up. A little later, he drew. Then one day, Matisse picked up a pair of scissors and cut out shapes from painted paper. He was drawing with scissors. And he said, "A pair of scissors is a wonderful instrument." In fact, that picture I showed you of him in his wheelchair, all those pieces of paper on the floor, that's what he was doing. Matisse cut paper all day. "My pleasure in cutting things out grows even greater. Why didn't I think of it earlier?" His assistants painted paper for him all day. It seems to me that I'm in a second life, he said. Paper cutouts covered his walls. One evening, Matisse lay in bed and drew the faces of his grandchildren on the ceiling with a piece of chalk tied to a long pole. As he fell asleep, they looked down on him and saw his dreams. They saw the shapes that surrounded him in sleep. As time went on, Matisse cut bigger and bigger shapes. They filled his seaside room with color. You see, I am obliged to remain often in bed. I have made a little garden all around me where I can walk. There are leaves, fruits, a bird. I am deeply contented, happy. Then one night, Matisse walked out into his paper garden, and the rainbow of shapes cradled the old artist and carried him into the heavens. Are some of the stars we see at night coming to us from Henri's scissors? Perhaps. And there's a final quote in the book, is though produced by a very old man who was mortally ill, the cutouts seem to spring from the springtime of the world. All right, so I'm going to move my camera and we'll go back. I'll show you what we're working on. There we go. All right. So today we're going to take our cue from Henri and we're going to be making some artwork. Well, here's the one I made as a sample right here. One thing that he did do was take different colors of paper and put them into kind of a collage-like shape. I'm going to turn this around like that. There, that's better. And just different shapes. He did a lot of stars, birds, like leafy things, and he quite often just represented people in like the simplest shapes. And this was something I saw in some of his I really liked. So what I did with this was, it just was just a white sheet of paper that I pasted some things I cut out of construction paper on. But if you don't have construction paper at home, which I don't always, you can do what Henri's what he did, and that was to have have people paint for him. I wanted to show you this. I don't know if you can see, but you can see the texture that this is actually painted rather than like construction paper. So we saw the picture of his assistants painting for them. So you can do that too, or what I did, I just took one sheet here and I painted with some, just with some watercolors, the red. And so I've got that texture. I've got a blue that was a marker. I've got, and let me see, these the black and the, no, it isn't the black, it's actually the green and the yellow are just crayons, and the black is just a black marker or a pencil. So I just made myself some colors, and I'm going to use a white paper, but you can use anything, any other color paper you'd like, or anything at all. And your artistic tool is going to be right there, the scissors. So, and I just use, you can use any kind of glue, I just use just a glue stick to put things on. So we can take any of those shapes. I could put background colors on it, but I'm not going to right now. So I'm just going to take, I'm going to cut out some of the things I did. Here's when I painted, and I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So I'm going to make a little head, and let's see, how can I do this? So I'm just going to take and make kind of the way that he did bodies. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And, let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse style person. And let's see, let me take, I think I'm going to turn this into a person. So here I've got a little person, a little Matisse I'm going to take my black, cut that out of the paper here. So I've got my black I just cut out. I'm going to turn that into a leafy shape, I think. Because you don't have to be literal with the colors. You know, you don't have to make a green leafy thing. It's whatever you feel like doing, and you don't have to even make Matisse's shape. Come up with something that that you like. Let me put my there. I'm going to take my blue marker piece and just cut it. And if you want to do something bigger, you can color whole sheets like that. So let's see, what can I make? I'm just going to make a shape with this one. So there's just a shape, and cut my yellow. And I think I'm going to try a star. I'm just going to make some points. And you saw in his paper cuts that he didn't make things that they were perfect, like a beautiful 5-pointed star or something. He just made what he felt like doing. So let's see. There's my star. Kind of little irregular, but I like it. And I only made 4 different colors, but and this green I started with one colored crayon and decided I didn't really like what I did, so I decided to change it a bit, and I'm going to make one of those ferny looking things that I liked out of this, just because I like the shape of it. Let's see. I think I'm going to make it with a kind of I'm going to make it like that just because it's kind of fun. And you can put them together in any way that you would like. If you want to tell a story with it, you can. If you just find shapes that kind of please you, and just glue them down, and you are following in the steps of Henri Matisse. There we go. So just glue them any way that you would like. You can do as many as you would like. Here's some other pieces I cut out of. This one was another piece of that I did with a marker. And what else is here? So just kind of create something that is pleasing to you. You can put other colors back behind, and be creative. Create something that Matisse would be proud of. One book I want to recommend, I really like, I got from the BB Library, is this book. It's called The Art Book for Children. This is book 2 of it. And I initially brought it home because of the picture of Matisse in here. His work. But the thing about it is it's really kind of it isn't just, you just don't look at the pictures. There are puzzles in there to do, and I find that it's really a pretty cool book. So I recommend that highly. So if you create any work that you're particularly proud of or want to share, here is our address you can send it to. So send a photo of your art to sorry, my cat is hooked onto me here, to bbartisticadventures@gmail.com, and Jasmine. And if you'd like me to post it on the Facebook page of the library, let me know. If not, they'll be kept perfectly private, and I will enjoy looking at them. So thank you very much for joining us for Artistic Adventures this week. Next week, we're going to be doing Edwin Binney. He's not really an artist, but he is the person who invented the Crayola crayon. Got the colors right, and so we'll be doing 3 projects next week. That use crayons, but we don't use them to color in the normal way. We're going to be doing different things with them. Crayons are a lot of fun. So I hope to see you next week, and thank you for watching Henri Mattise.